Welcome back, Airbnb family. Today is a new day for Airbnb. Like literally the most new day they could ever have. Airbnb has announced a new suite of services, you could say. It's like basically their new chess move, their new feature is Airbnb services. And it has nothing to do with hosts, but if you're a business owner, if you own a service-based business, this is gonna possibly change everything for you guys. So what Airbnb has done is they've added they announced that they were going to add something like this, but I thought it was going to be something like Turo. I thought they were going to legit compete with Turo, but I was wrong. So you could stay on Airbnb, get a place. You can go on a bar crawl or like learn to make sourdough bread through Airbnb experiences. Now you can get a massage therapist, you can get a chef, you can get a personal trainer, you can get all these other services. And Airbnb, I believe, is going to keep adding to these services. Probably now that we know the direction, they're going to push all the way into not just the host GPO, not just the host co stuff, like the luxury experiential stuff, but they'll probably push all the way in to Angie's List style services. This is my opinion. That's how I think this is going to go. So now, if you have employees, this is the most important thing. And some of you Airbnb hosts can do this too. Some of you Airbnb hosts have housekeepers, right? Like if you do it like I do by the hour. Now, if you run a restaurant and you have chefs on salary, or if you own a salon and you have employees that are cutters, not just like rent a chair commission style, but you can still do something with that. If you have any type of excess labor, right, that is service-based, chefs, barbers, whatever, if you're an esthetician, if you do fillers, if you do like mobile spray tan, all that stuff, get on Airbnb right now and get ready to list your service on demand. Even if you have like a ghost kitchen, right? You just do Uber Eats and have a ghost kitchen, list yourself as a private chef or a caterer. And what you guys can do is you can have this extra outlet of income stream where you have a chef that's not even booked for the night. You didn't need him at the restaurant, but an Airbnb host wanted a private chef, and you pay that chef, let's say you pay him a salary or you pay him $30-something an hour. You can sell the chef off for $45 to $60 an hour, and you can arbitrage the middle, okay? So in Dubai, we call this wage arbitrage. This is a huge part of doing business in Dubai. Airbnbs surprisingly don't make enough margin in Dubai because, this is the way the world works. But hiring drivers and massage therapists, they are extremely inexpensive. So you can pretty much squeeze yourself in between your own massage therapist and the guest paying for yours, right? That's a wage arbitrage play. You in Dubai, you can pay somebody $5 to $10 an hour to do something that you can charge $90 for, right? But Airbnb's now made this possible that all over the world, you can have wage arbitrage plays. So again, you have to own a service or be able to provide one. But if you can provide a service where you can have multiple employees and you can leverage that, this is going to be the big move forward, guys. So, but here's how it could affect hosts, right? Because I've got over 100 Airbnb properties, right? I've been doing hosting for 10 years. And Airbnb understands this concept of migrative selling. Surprise, this is not my first business. I own 4 7-figure businesses. So I'm gonna get really nerdy here in a second. Migrative selling is where you sell somebody one thing and then based on the trust of that transaction going well, you sell them other stuff. So Airbnb line one is gonna get people who stay at a property to also purchase massage therapy, right? There's gonna be that. But the second world here is if Airbnb gets good enough at hiring out chefs and catering services and mobile hair salons and stuff like that, then people are downloading this as service providers. First off, right? You guys are business owners. You'll download it. Now you're touching Airbnb where you never thought you would. And now you may get new customers who just use Airbnb services because they think it's a cool idea. Anytime that Airbnb gets a new customer into the app could ultimately affect their main flagship product, which is hospitality and travel. So I think Airbnb's play here is a synergy play, right? If they can get more users that care about something else, they can eventually get them back into the hospitality pipeline. So that's what I think is cool. Now, Airbnb hosts, you could be selling stuff like this already using HostCo, right? And a lot of HostCo stuff is now probably gonna get folded into Airbnb's thing, which might, actually, I don't think it's gonna really affect it that much, right? Because when somebody shows up to a property, they have a relationship with the host. And if the host is selling these types of services, the guest probably could be sold because of like activity from the host. So if you're a host using Hostco or providing private chefs for massage therapy, you're going to let your people who've booked know that you provide that stuff. So I think that this won't exactly squash the Hostco, but it could put a little pressure on forcing the Hostco to level up a little bit, to add a little bit more deviation. We actually talked about this with Airbnb a few live streams ago, where the Airbnb doesn't have a guest problem. It doesn't have like a host problem. Airbnb's problems is they have a lack of innovation problem. And this is their big move, which now if we're to bring this full circle, I don't think it's innovative enough, honestly, right? So Airbnb has to compete with VRBO and Booking.com and Hilton and Marriott and stuff. And what they've done is they've given hosts and guests like little widgets. Like, so us hosts, we have something called a multi-calendar. I can see all my listings on one calendar and change my prices and stuff. And that's like a widget that's good for hosts, right? Airbnb's got widgets for guests, like shared wish lists. You can make a wish list of properties and then you share it with your friends and people can upvote like it's a Reddit thread on what properties they like. These are little add-ons that make people prefer Airbnb. And this is the most important part of this conversation when we talk about innovation, is I would prefer to use Airbnb because of their 2-day and 3-day discounts. As a host, I get very granular price stuff. A guest may choose to use Airbnb because Airbnb maybe does a good job with the relocation if something goes wrong with a property, maybe better than Booking.com. And so these are the types of value statements that a business needs to make. And Airbnb needs to continue to innovate in order to continue to keep guests on the platform or maintain preference. And so adding services is innovative and should have a value add to guests. I just don't think it's innovative enough for them to really be protected against Booking.com and VRBO. But this brings back to the Hostco. Annie from the Hostco, she's super cool. And this will be one of those lights, a little fire under her business's butt to come up with a new angle to continue to push the envelope on their offering, because Airbnb is directly stepping into their offering. And some of you guys might use them already. So would love to know what you guys think. I do think we're going to see more services. I believe that they're going to do Turo. I believe that there's going to be more services like handymen and housekeepers on there too one day soon. I think that's this is the direction it's going to push. But let me know what you guys think. And thanks for hanging out with me on a live stream, guys. Love you. And as always, I will see you on the other side.